Let's take a look at how to set up scheduled tasks in Security Center. A scheduled task can be used to execute a single action in Security Center. The difference between a scheduled task and an event to action is that a scheduled task can be done at specific times or intervals, whereas the event to action has to wait for something to happen in the system before the action is executed. An automation can be set up with either option or to be run manually, so it's a bit more flexible than the other two. In previous versions of Security Center, the scheduled tasks used to be in the system task, but now we brought everything together into the automation task. For now, the section is still in the system task, but it just has a convenient shortcut to bring us over to the automation task. Once we're in the automation task, select the scheduled task section on top, and we can see our list of existing scheduled tasks on the left. We can use the buttons on the bottom of the page to add a new scheduled task, delete any scheduled tasks we have selected, or run an audit trails report to see any changes made to the ones we have selected. Note that this just brings up the report with the entities selected. We still need to click on the Generate Report button on the bottom. There's no Edit button in the scheduled task because we just need to select a scheduled task on the left, and we get the details in the pane on the right and can edit right from there. Let's take a look at a quick scenario where we want to make sure a zone is armed at night. The people in the building should be arming the zones themselves, but sometimes they forget and it gets left off accidentally. So let's create a new scheduled task to arm this zone automatically at 8 p.m. From the Identity tab, we can give the new scheduled task a different name and provide a brief description of what it does. Moving over to the Properties tab, the first thing to note is that any scheduled tasks we create are inactive by default. This gives us time to set everything up, and once we know everything is good to go, we can flip this switch over to active. The second section is about the timing, or when we want the action to happen. The first option is the simplest one, have it happen one time at a certain time and date. For example, we can have the reception camera start recording at the date and time the contractors are supposed to be there to work on the reception area. The every minute recurrence is something we can also do with the interval. The action we specify will be executed at the start time of the interval and continue until we switch the scheduled task back to inactive. Hourly will execute the action at the same number of minutes past every hour. Note that if we put 15 minutes in here, it's not an interval that will happen every 15 minutes. Instead, the action will happen at 1:15, 2:15, 3:15, and so on. Daily, monthly, and yearly will allow us to pick one point in time to execute the action. For example, if we pick monthly, we would need to select the day of the month and the time for the action to be executed, like every 15th day of the month at 5 p.m. Watch out for shorter months. It won't execute the action at the last day of the month, it will simply skip it for that month instead. Weekly works a little differently since we still have to pick a time to execute the action at, but we can specify multiple days of the week. For example, if donuts are delivered every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m., and we want to play a sound to our user group to remind them, we can check those days in a weekly scheduled task. The onStartup will execute an action when the system is started, which is more reactive, but this is not related to a Security Center event, so it fits better in here. Now that we have our when set up, let's set up what we want to do at that time. In the action field, we just need to choose a Security Center command. Depending on the action we select, we may be presented with more options below, such as the zone to use or the recipient, message, and timeout value for the send a message action. Once we're done with the configuration, don't forget to flip the status switch to active on top and hit the apply button to keep the changes. If we want to perform more actions at this particular scheduled time, we can convert the scheduled task to an automation. All the timing in the existing action will be kept, but we'll be able to add more to it from there. With the scheduled task selected, click on the Convert to Automation button on the bottom. It will ask us to confirm the conversion to an automation and give us a results window when it has been completed. Once we click on the Close button, it will bring us over to the Automation section of the task with the converted automation selected. From here, we can see that it is a scheduled type of automation, has the same recurrence, and the same action we had configured for it. Note that the scheduled task we converted is still there, but it is now in an inactive state.